This is the Classic Auto Mall Show. Broadcast from the studios inside the Classic Auto Mall in Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Just 1 hour west of Philadelphia at Pennsylvania Turnpike exit 298. Featuring nearly 1,000 classic, vintage, and barn-find vehicles for sale under one climate-controlled roof. Now, here's your host, Classic Auto Mall president, and the man with all the toys, Stewart Howden.
And here we are. Welcome to show number 218. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You having trouble with your volume over there?
Yeah, I don't know. You sound...
I sound handsome?
You sound good.
He's off a little bit. We got to retrain him.
Exactly. It used to be my favorite saying. Am I too handsome for my height? So I think we should start a new program on the guessing game. And instead of guessing how many cars in inventory, guess how many subscribers we have on YouTube. So that would be more fun. So we have 920 cars in inventory.
Oh, wow.
And last week was 915. So we're actually gaining a little bit as we go. All
right.
But how many subscribers on YouTube, Steve? You get to go first.
Well, we got our 100,000 plaque, so we know we've exceeded 100,000.
Yes,
is it handy? Hold it up.
Not handy. It's in the box, but we're going to put a picture of it on the screen.
We are absolutely.
And I'm going to say with about 118,000.
All right, I'll say 122.
Well, you are way off. 111. Making me look bad.
For some reason I thought we had. Oh, that's good though. It's good. Huge number.
111 is nothing shabby. We got, what was it, a week ago Saturday or 2 weeks ago Saturday, we got to 100,000.
And aren't you something like we're like some millions of views on particular things?
4.7 million views total on YouTube.
Yeah, which is different from subscribers.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get to our guest.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, John Brooks, author, writer, photographer, coming to us from across the pond somewhere in the UK today. Good morning, afternoon, evening, John.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I'm actually based just south of London, not far from Brooklands, in fact.
Oh, nice. That's some historic stuff going on there. And we were talking about off air, right around the corner from AC Cars, the old factory.
And in fact, there's the main road out of London that passes by here, the A3, really managed to get motorsport, or at least international motorsport, in the 50s up and running. Things like Cooper cars were just up the road. In fact, my wife went to school with John Cooper's eldest daughter, I believe.
I'll be darned. And
I know.
What made that area so popular with the AC and Cooper and some of the others?
Well, Heathrow Airport probably has something to do with it.
Sure.
I mean, recently things have moved more towards Silverstone and the Motorsport Valley up there. The suppliers are up there, the teams are up there, Formula One's up there. We don't have quite so much here, but the historic side runs well. You know, I'm an hour or so away from Goodwood, which is a fantastic facility. So yeah, we're looking out, and the sun has disappeared. It's getting dark, and it's getting cold.
Yeah, we're getting that as well here too. So don't feel bad there. You know, it's interesting to see that the history of automobiles and the pilgrimage that people make to go to Modena for Ferrari or Goodwood, or I imagine still people come and want to see and have their picture made in front of AC Cars. I mean, that's such a historical, significant, not only to Europe but also to the United States.
Indeed, I mean, we've just had Motoring Week here in London. I mean, I'm just outside London, and that ranged from the Motoring Book of the Year awards on Wednesday. There was a big dinner somewhere. There's been exhibitions. There was a Pall Mall and St James's were closed to traffic on Saturday, and they had 100 or 200 cars there. And then very early on Sunday morning, a load of people set off for Brighton on the London to Brighton vintage run.
Right.
I didn't get brave enough to be up there for 6 a.m, I'm afraid to say.
I understand.
I had other things to attend to over the weekend.
Well, it's the London to Brighton would be a fun one. That's a bucket list for everybody. I think that.
I think so. And the RAC Club, they have two main venues. One is in Epsom, which is not far from here, right, near the famous race course, the horse racing course. But they also have a clubhouse in Pall Mall, and it's a very, very impressive place. As I said, I was lucky enough to get an invitation to go along last Wednesday to the Book of the Year Awards, and I didn't win anything, but just being asked is quite an honour in itself. Can
you reveal what the book is yet, or is that still a secret?
Oh, no. In fact, they had a number of categories, but the overall Book of the Year went to an American.
Really?
A gentleman called Karl Ludvigsen, who at 91 shames most of us.
Yeah, I've seen the book.
The book is about supercharging and turbocharging. Apparently, something like 80 years ago or 75 years ago, he wrote a paper when he was a junior engineer at Ford, talking about turbocharging.
Yeah. He was on our show about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we were talking about the book. It's the heaviest 3-volume set of books I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's amazing and fascinating. You know, you almost wonder, how can you make something like that fascinating, even for those of us who are car guys? 3 volumes of turbocharging and supercharging probably covers every square inch of supercharging and turbocharging, right?
It certainly is a niche topic, I would think. But if you consider, Karl was not only just an author of things like Excellence Was Expected, right, and the Quicksilver Mercedes and other books, but he was also senior executive with Ford and others.
Right.
How did he manage to find the time?
Yeah, I always say that about people who delve into things like that. How do they find the time to do everything that they do? And of course, with Karl, he told me that when they asked him to proofread the book a second time just to make sure, and I said, "How long did that take?" And he said, "About 1.5 years."
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned with my book, that nothing moves quickly when it comes to composing, creating, checking, rechecking, then finding another mistake.
Sure.
That's my excuse as to why my book was 18 months to 2 years out.
Sure. And automotive books are really kind of going through a renaissance right now. I mean, they're becoming very, very popular. And there was a lull for years in automotive books. There wasn't a lull in them being published. They were just kind of, they weren't as popular as they are now, it seems to be.
No, I mean, there are an amazing sets of books were in the competition. Probably the most interesting one, in a way, was a Formula One author called Maurice Hamilton, who's been around since the 70s. And he got engaged or commissioned by one of the major publishing houses, I forget which one, to do a book aimed at 11-year-olds on Formula One.
Right.
And he's done a series of them, and they are driver profiles. So he's done one on Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris was this one, and that got shortlisted for one of the categories in motorsport. Right. And apparently it's sold very well, and it's reversing a trend that youngsters aren't buying books. They just look at the phone.
Right.
And that would appear, now they've found books, etc. And I remember when I was young, and that was a long time ago, I lived not far from the local library. I was in and out of there driving them up the wall about books on World War II.
Right. Yeah, it's we forget that libraries still exist sometimes. I mean, if you think about it, in the old days, if you needed to learn something, you almost always went to the library. If there was something that you didn't know about that you needed to know about, you would go to the library. And I can't tell you that I can't even remember and I love libraries, and I can't remember the last time I was even in a library.
No, I'd be inclined to agree with you there. I walked past, we've got one here in Esher down in Surrey, and I walked past it, coming from the car park some days. but I've got my own library, so
Yeah.
And when I was preparing for this book, we had COVID in the middle of it all.
Right.
And there are all manner of resources on the internet available, like the Wayback Machine,
Right.
that's copied websites since '96.
Right.
And okay, you can't look at some of them, not for that reason, but Adobe Flash is regarded as terrible. So if your modern computer picks up the website's got Flash, it won't load it.
Right.
There are ways around it. And sometimes the websites didn't always get picked up, but there was enough information there to add to what's already out there. And the other thing about the period that I was writing is that a lot of websites developed, like Daily Sports Car and Sports Car 365. And then the TV companies and the magazines themselves, a lot of them invested as much money in putting stuff on the web as they did in printing it.
Sure. Well, and there's a lot of information on the web. There's no question about it. That's the understatement of the year. However, not everything is on the web. There's a lot of things that we still have to refer to certain books, like the Standard Catalog of American Cars is one that we will go back to, because sometimes we can't find anything on a certain subject. It's getting less and less as time goes by.
Indeed, but fortunately, there is the odd gap in the market, and it allows someone like myself to write a book.
Well, I think because it's one thing to go and search something in Google and say, I want to learn about turbocharging or supercharging for Karl Ludvigsen, or I want to learn about the 2000 to 2009 Le Mans era or decade. But it's another thing to get it in a concise format that you can follow, and it's logical when you follow it. And for your book, I mean, the official history of the world greatest motor race, Le Mans 2000-2009, that seems so pigeonholed and narrow in focus. And I thought, I wonder how that could be interesting. Not thinking about, you probably got the greatest decade ever because it was that dominance of Audi during that era that was probably unprecedented.
Porsche might disagree with you there, but then they would probably disagree with you on principle. Yeah, I mean, although Audi won 8 out of the 10 races, they weren't always the fastest. In 2005, the Pescarolos were faster.
Right.
In 2008, they were 6 seconds a lap off the Peugeots. But typically for Audi Sport, they went away and thought, right, how can we do this? So you have the Le Mans test day, or at the time you had the Le Mans test day 2 weeks before the race. So they arrived before the test day, and then for every day after the test day, up until, for 10 days, they would arrive every morning at 7:30 and spend the entire day practicing pit stops, practicing changing things to minimize the amount of time they would spend in the pits. And they felt if they could keep within touch of the Peugeots, even with their speed, something might happen. And that thing happened was the rain.
Right.
The rain came unbelievably about 3 or 4 in the morning. And Christensen, Capello and McNish were within striking distance. And frankly, their car was better set up for conditions like that. And they ended up winning a race they had no business being at the top of.
Sure.
Peugeot went away and learned the lessons there and reversed the result the following year. So it was a great decade to be there. And if I may say, we talk about the front, but really probably the best struggles came with Corvette versus Viper, Corvette versus Ferrari, Corvette versus Aston Martin, and you throw Saleens and other things in there. The GTs were amazing.
Yeah, that was a whole. You seem to have a lot of focus on that. I mean, it's interesting that there's more well-known drivers in the lower classes, if you will, for lack of a better term. I mean, they're not household names, the guy in the top class. I mean, Christensen arguably is the most well-known of those guys, but most of those guys are not, Andretti or Foyt or names that you would readily recognize.
Yeah, because there's been a kind of specialization. The days of, running at Indy, Le Mans, and Formula One in one season have long
Right.
passed.
Right.
Mario was probably the last of the gang to do that.
Sure.
And I saw him a few times racing. I got to meet him in 2000 when it was his last, I think it was his last race ever. And, you could tell he still was terribly competitive. He didn't like the idea that the Penels wasn't going to win, but
right.
And he wasn't quite as fast as he had been 10, 15 years beforehand. But his co-drivers, David Brabham, I think it was, and Raffanel, all said, they had full respect for him.
Sure.
But, you're right. Corvette racing changed Le Mans in many, many ways, and mostly for the better.
Sure.
And I'm not just saying that because it's an American thing, but, I got to know some of the people involved with it. The Doug Feehan headed the program. But all the guys there was a level of respect between them and ProDrive. And in fact, that's one of the themes I felt it was probably most different about that from, say, F1.
Right.
A number of times a team like Peugeot would lose, and they would be invited then to Audi's celebration. And the reverse happened in 2009. When Corvette first went there, they invited the workers in. I remember Doug Feehan telling me this, and he said, we invited not the VIPs or the guys in the suits, etc. We wanted the people who actually made the race happen.
Right.
The ticket office, the people on security, etc. And they didn't have a great turnout the first year, but the word got round at Le Mans, and they were well oversubscribed the second.
Right.
And, they got into the spirit of it straight away. So, it was a great decade to be part of.
And it's interesting. You break it down by year and chapters and subchapters. And of course, year 1, 2000, which was the first year inclusive of this book, the subchapter on the Corvette was the big yellow taxi. I kind of like that. It was like almost they were going to have to prove themselves, and which they certainly did. And you can tell in your writing as it goes forward to 2009 that they did improve themselves, and they did answer the call. I think when they first came there, everybody were like, we'll see what they can do. And they did pretty well. Yeah.
Well, the first year would always be a bit difficult, and they learned along the way. I mean, the thing is, you will make mistakes, you will have made wrong choices. What they were good at was analyzing that and saying, okay, we need to change the tires. We need to change certain drivers. We need to change the way we do things.
Right.
And I'm picking on Corvette, but you could say the same of Audi. You could say the same of Peugeot. The factory teams, they have to learn and they have to improve. Those who didn't, for whatever reason, like a Cadillac or Viper, Chrysler in the prototypes didn't really put in the effort. And I think what happened was everyone got scared of the amount of money that Audi was throwing at the R8 and its development.
Sure.
Audi didn't win by accident.
No, and they won. I mean, in 2000, they were finished 1, 2, 3, right? And
indeed,
I love the title of that chapter is "I Came, I Saw, I Won."
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, right?
Oh God, yes. I think in the time that they were there up until 2016, I think they had 3 other 1, 2, 3s.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that. I like everything else. I like to go back and check.
Yeah, I like to say things with a caveat, just to make sure. You just never know. Well, also in 2000, one of the chapters in your book was Nest of Vipers. I love that. And that was true of them. Were people afraid of the Viper because of the V10? Did that mean anything, or was that didn't really matter?
Well, I think what had happened was it appeared in 1990. they had a couple of Vipers running in 94, but they
Right.
weren't factory cars. The
Right.
factory effort started in 96.
Right.
And they were into GT1. And they pretty quickly figured out that the GT1 cars, particularly by 97, weren't really GTs, road-going cars. They were actually pure racing cars. So the management hired Oreca, a French engineering consultancy, a very smart move, and they developed the cars for GT2, and they eventually overtook Porsche. I mean, in 2000, they won Daytona 24 Hours.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Rolex.
The Rolex 24. There you go.
They won the Rolex outright, which then Corvette managed to match the following year.
Right. You know, it's interesting that the year 2000 was such a pivotal point at Le Mans, especially since BMW and Toyota were moving to Formula One. Mercedes had kind of gone away. Nissan was in dire straits. I mean, it seemed like the perfect storm for Audi and then the others, Bentley and Peugeot and so on, and then Dodge Vipers and Corvettes and all that, to be kind of in the wings and ready to pounce.
Indeed. I mean, I believe Napoleon always said he liked generals who were lucky rather than good. And the ACO got very lucky back in 93 when a little chap called Michel Cosson took over as president. Now, he looked a very quiet, softly spoken guy, but he took the race in 93, 28 cars started. By the time he left in 2002, 2003, there was a full grid of 55 cars.
Which is what Le Mans is supposed to be, right?
Exactly. But not only that, he developed the American Le Mans Series, the European Le Mans Series. He'd brought the motorbikes back. He'd managed to sell the circuit to the local authorities and just rent it back. So, he completely transformed what was going to be potentially a bankrupt organization. And that strength, that drive is evident throughout the whole decade. Okay, there were a couple of years where things didn't quite go, but then the diesel era came in 2006, which then enticed Peugeot to return. And then we had amazing battles for the next 6 years. I'm just doing the next book, and I'm writing about 2011. And one Audi survived out of the three. The other two crashed heavily.
Right.
And it won by 13 and a half seconds after 24 hours.
Wow.
And it wasn't fixed. They were flat out from start to finish.
Right.
My admiration for the kind of people who can do that stuff is fairly boundless, to be honest.
Sure. And 2006, for those of you who don't know, was not the first year for diesels at Le Mans. It was actually in the 50s that there was diesel-powered cars.
Indeed, a couple of brothers whose name escapes my poor memory at the moment. They found, I believe, a Jeep or a truck in a field that it was an American truck,
right.
Left there by the liberating forces. So they thought, let's put it into a race car and see how we go. And they finished one year and weren't classified the second year. Right. And I think that was 51 and 52.
Right.
So you're right. There's nothing new under the sun.
Sure. Well, yeah, we know that. We learn that every day. But it's interesting talking to people that have driven those Peugeots and Audis, the diesel-powered ones. They say the hardest thing to get used to in driving one of those is how fast you have to shift the car. You literally it's just constant. There's no hesitation. You just shift, bang, 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 bang. That's just that quick because the red line is so low. Quite.
And amazing amounts of torque and power. The Audi engine development through Ulrich Boretsky, who was the kind of genius behind all that. I mean, he pitched the idea of diesels to the ACO in 2003, and eventually they all, they thought, well, there was a tendency at that time for people to drop petrol cars and move up market with diesels. I mean, that's now been reversed for one reason or another. And there was one statistic I often quote. When Audi arrived at Le Mans in 1999, I think they were selling about 635,000 cars.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they left in 2016, I think the figure was near 1.6 million.
Win on Sunday, sell on Monday, right?
Exactly. It could be a coincidence, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think that motor racing is still an influencer into what people buy and what people's loyalty, where their loyalty lies. But it's interesting too. You can go into a local Mercedes-Benz dealer here in the States, and you'll ask them, "Are you rooting for Lewis this weekend?" And they'll go, "Who?" When Lewis was with Mercedes. "Who?" You work at a Mercedes store and you don't know the Formula One driver.
No, I think that may be a bit less than it was, though, thanks to the efforts of the new people in charge of Formula One. They've brought American marketing style and effort to it, and you can see that reflected in the huge crowds now.
Absolutely.
I think Vegas is coming up soon.
Yeah, and it's interesting because people that were not normally even into racing at all. I'm not talking about people making a transition from watching sports cars at Road Atlanta to going to F1. I'm talking about people never watched race motorsports at all are now all of a sudden into it. Even my wife and my son and I watch the F1 races, no matter how early it starts in the morning and or how late in the evening it is. And it's drawn a different crowd, and a lot of it has to do with Drive to Survive. Obviously, had a lot to do with it with the television show. But you're right; the Americanized style of marketing, and the fact that everybody speaks English when they have to talk, which has got to be frustrating if you're not from around here. Something to do with that as well.
Yeah, and I was talking about this to a friend of mine we were exchanging emails. He's a marketing guy out in Las Vegas, and he was saying that, the top end, if you like, VIP program for the Vegas Grand Prix is more expensive than Monaco.
Right. That's crazy.
And yet they fill the place with people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, I've been to Vegas a few times, and, some of it I liked and some of it I wasn't too bothered with.
Sure.
And I could say the same for Monaco. I went to Monaco in 81 and 82 for the Grand Prix. And some of it was fantastic,
right.
And quite a lot of it you would just leave to one side.
Sure.
It's completely different now.
Well, a lot of people will tell you that the most fun time to go to Monaco is the week before the race, when everything's already set up and everything's there. The yachts are all there, all the hoopla is going on. It's just not chaos and like it can be then. And, listen, Vegas is cool, but it's certainly no Monaco. No matter how hard they try, they're never going to be that, because Vegas caters to a different clientele. It's blue collar and high end rollers, and Monaco maybe not so much blue collar.
Well, quite. And, zero income tax levels there tend to bring in certain sorts of people. And also, it's a historic race. I mean, the first Grand Prix was, I think, 1929 or 1930.
Sure.
People say, they've got to change, they've got to do this, they've got to do that. Doesn't seem that way to me. But anyway, we're drifting away from
yes,
the beauty of Le Mans and sports car racing.
Yes, we are. One of your sub chapters, well, the chapter on 2001, "A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall." I love that title because of the weather, and I love the two things. The two of the chapters: the fangs drawn on the Vipers and Steve's Saleen's. The new kid on the LMGTS block. They made quite the impression there, and even Saleen did, right? That wasn't just exercise in futility.
No. Well, they actually won their class in, I think, the last year of the GT1 era. When they came to Sebring in 2001, which was their opening race, they beat Corvette,
Right.
which rather shocked them. And Corvette, being not foolish, took one look at one of the drivers, Oliver Gavin, and they signed him up the next year.
We want you.
Well, and he stayed with them till 2015, 20 whatever. He's now an ambassador for it. But you're quite right. I did actually have quite a bit of fun with the headlines.
I could tell that. I mean, there was Art for Art's Sake in 2007. The chapter was the Torque Show, which I think is great. I mean, it sounded like you really put a lot of effort into naming the sections and subsections as opposed to just being more methodical with it.
Well, yeah, it's part of the fun of writing this. I'm approaching 70 now, right. And in my mid-60s to be offered an opportunity to do something like this is quite amazing.
Sure.
So you want to pour everything into it. I don't know about you, but as I get older, I don't want to do things poorly. It's either got to be done to the best
or don't do it
or
at
not
all.
Bother at all.
And of course,
like this show.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Thank you for that great segue. And I loved in 2005 that one of your subchapters was I met her in a club down in Old Soho. A reference to Lola. That's great. See,
yeah.
Not everybody gets that, and I like that not everybody gets that.
No, well, not all of us are old enough to remember Ray and Dave Davis and the Kinks.
That's exactly right. And two music references in 2005. Georgia on My Mind with Panos was one of the subchapters that talked about what they did. And what they did was pretty astounding.
Yes. Don came in, and I remember... In fact, going back to Michel Cosson, said we should, thank God every day for the fact that Don Panos decided to come and join us.
Right.
And he American sports car racing grew and grew after that. And eventually NASCAR came in, or the France family came in and took it over.
Sure.
But what seems to have happened is, if you like, it's a prototype for what we were talking about with Formula One, because NASCAR brought their marketing smarts, their ideas on how to promote, to make fans happy, etc., and they applied it to endurance sports car racing.
Sure. And it doesn't have to be something you and I agree with to make it the right choice.
Yes. I was a bit cynical about the whole thing in 2014. I went along, I think I flew in to do Petit Le Mans. It was one of my last years where I was doing much in the States. And I felt that was going to be the end.
Right.
And I was wrong.
Right.
In fact, the show has improved enormously.
Well, and we're glad that you were wrong, and you're probably glad that you're wrong.
Oh, yeah. Look, just look at it now. Porsche have withdrawn from the World Championship, but they're still in IMSA.
Exactly. And IMSA, of course, I grew up on in the 70s, and it was my favorite racing series back in the day. And so before we go, correct me if I'm wrong, did you take every photograph in this book?
I'm afraid guilty as charged.
Wow. That's almost unheard of, that somebody writes and photographs an entire book of this magnitude.
Well, I was working for quite a number of magazines, working for the Le Mans Annual. I had people like Audi, Lola, a whole heap of clients. It's funny, actually. I'm now making quite a reasonable amount of money selling pictures of the cars in the day to the new owners.
Oh, right. Yeah, I never thought of it. Because a lot of these wealthy guys who have these vintage, they call vintage racing cars, and they're, I don't know, vintage racing is hard to say on a 2000 anything, but it is.
Well, I mean, not last week, the week before last, I billed one client just under $20,000.
Wow.
Now, that's not all profit. About half of it goes, I look after archives for other photographers.
Right.
And the difference is, back in the day when I was doing it for some of the teams and drivers, etc., trying to get paid was an interesting process.
They didn't remember your name.
I sent the invoice or the invoices
right.
to the one client, and I thought, I wonder, 3 days later, the money's in the account.
Gotta love that.
Yeah. I won't be doing the same for the next volume that I'm doing, because in 2011, I switched over to doing PR for one team.
Right.
And we ended up doing a couple of films. And your ability to just wander off and do whatever you want is restricted, because the team owner had a pretty good idea of value for money from his perspective.
Yeah, he wants to get what he paid for.
Exactly. And he wasn't frightened to look you straight in the eye and say, you better be here.
Yeah. And you know what? I admire people like that, because you know what? At least you know where you stand. There's no gray area with a guy like that, or person like that.
Exactly. And, you know, he was a very successful businessman. Not everything he did worked, but a lot of it did.
Sure.
We had a lot of fun. And also it gave me a different perspective, because I was part of a team rather than an individual on the outside. And I think, you know, a lot of the media could learn from that.
I think 100% you are correct. So my last question that I always love to ask everybody is, what is your daily driver?
Oh, dear.
I love that response, too. That's perfect.
Yes. Somewhat humble these days.
I like that.
A 15 or 16-year-old Hyundai i20.
That's the third Hyundai that we've had. We've asked people this question from motorsport people. So there must be something to it. It must be a practical yet somewhat fun to drive.
Yeah, well, I don't do as much driving as I used to.
Sure.
You know, going to the shops about it. I am thinking about changing it in. Because I'm a member of the Guild of Motoring Writers here in the UK, and Kia, who are obviously part of the Hyundai group,
right,
give us a very good deal.
Sure. Well, no, that's right. That would make sense. So, well, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed having you on today. And Randy will put up on the screen about your book. But if you haven't had a chance to get it, go out and get it. It's a fantastic book. It's got great photography, great writing, just very impressive overall. And just couldn't be happier to have you on the show today, John. John Brooks, everybody.
Okay, thank you for the pleasure and privilege of being on the show.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to seeing it at some stage.
We'll send you an email that lets you know when all the details are. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with the Classic Auto Mall Show.
Whether you want to buy or sell a classic, collectible, or special interest vehicle, you need to visit the Classic Auto Mall website for more information. If you're looking to buy, you can easily search our inventory of more than 1,000 vehicles on the web at classicautomall.com.
And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall Show from the Classic Auto Mall studio in Morgantown, Pennsylvania.
Pot that down.
Yeah. Pod down. Pod up.
Studio talk for
We're rocking along, man. We're rocking, baby.
Go over 30 seconds. We're going to be paying royalties.
Yeah, watch the royalties. You need to have a little red line thing.
Yeah, right. Yellow and
right
red.
there. Oh, we got to go. We got to stop. Quit using
Like a
it anymore.
tachometer.
Yeah. Great. What a book. To write a book about one decade of one track of, one type of, it's got to be a daunting task. You got to be thinking, how am I going to get past 3 or 4 pages? But he does it beautifully.
Yeah.
I mean, great writer and a great guest, and love having him on. So, where do we sell cars this week, Steve?
Where?
Yes. How about Milford, Delaware?
Okay.
How about it? Okay.
Somewhere down there.
Woodway, Texas.
All right.
Odessa, Florida. Silver Spring, Maryland. Sunset, South Carolina. That sounds like a nice place to live. Ridgeway, South Carolina. Williamstown, New Jersey. Rock Hill, South Carolina. What up with South Carolina? Mount Washington, Kentucky. Kranz, Montana, Switzerland. Malvern, Pennsylvania. That goes well together.
Yeah. Kranz, Montana, Switzerland.
Yeah, and Malvern, Pennsylvania. Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Broad Top, Pennsylvania. And Moscow, Pennsylvania.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Idaho.
No, I never knew that.
There's a bunch of them around the country. Rock Hill, South Carolina. Shout out. My brother lives there.
Oh, he does?
He does.
How cool.
I've never been there.
Did he buy a car from us?
No, I doubt it. I doubt it.
Well, let's hope not.
And to Moscow.
Because he should have, given you the credit.
Yeah, it would have been. I would have gone through me, but I don't think he. I'll tell him to look out for it though.
He likes it down there, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So, we were talking earlier about our new thing that we're doing on how many views and all that stuff.
The YouTube
The
thing.
YouTube channel. We got our plaque, which Randy will have a picture up. I'm certain of that.
He did.
Which is really... So it was supposed to come on Friday, and I was thinking about it, and then I got an email that said, "Oh, it's delayed till Monday." I'm like, "Okay, maybe this is all BS." So we're never going to get anything, and they lied to me. They're just going to keep me stringing me along. So Monday, I kind of forgot about it, and then one of my employees comes walking in, and he's got a big old grin on his face, and he goes, "It came." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "The YouTube plaque." I go,
subpoena.
"Are you opening? You mean you're opening my mail now?" Well, the box said YouTube on it. So actually the box is right there. It says YouTube on it. And so he knew what it was and knew that I was waiting for it. But I'd forgotten about it. So very exciting.
Congratulations to everybody.
Congratulations. Thank you to everybody who's helps do this, from you guys in the studio here to Judy Stropus, who helps us get guests, to all of our wonderful guests. I mean, if it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't be at 50,000.
It's true.
So kind of cool. So some of the new inventory this week, new arrivals.
My notes.
The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro RS convertible, black over black.
It is.
Correct 350 cubic inch V8 with that sinister good looks. Sinister good looks.
Got the RS package on it.
Yeah, which makes it good.
I think so.
Turbo Hydromatic 350. SSBC Force 10 power disc brakes.
Okay.
Wow.
That's a title. And factory AC car.
There you go.
Kind of surprising for a convertible. Didn't see a lot of convertibles in the 60s and early 70s with factory AC because you had a convertible. So you didn't really need it, right? But lo and behold, you did. How about the 1987 Chevrolet Corvette Coupe? This is a great entry-level car into the hobby. Dark red metallic over graphite, only 19,000 original miles
Amazing.
on this car. It's 2 owners from new, so you know it was well taken care of with only 2 owners and that low in mileage. The L98 350 cubic inch V8, 700 R4 4-speed automatic, and the G92 performance axle, which makes a big difference in drivability of these things. This thing will make it really go. And this is the kind of car that you can get in for a reasonable amount of money, and you can enjoy the heck out of it, and you can probably sell it in a couple of 3 years for exactly what you paid for it, as long as you don't put 50,000 miles.
Sure.
You know, you go out and put 10,000 miles on it over a couple of years, and you think, well, that doesn't sound like very many. Go try to put 10,000 miles on a car that's not your daily driver.
That's right.
You never do. And that's why we always hear from people, how can a guy own this wonderful fill in the blank, supercar, hypercar, Ferrari, whatever, and only put 500 miles a year? Well, guess what? You know how many cars the guy's got? He's got like 30.
Yeah.
So, you know, you take 30 times 500, that's, you know, that's what he's done. So
That's right.
That's 15,000 miles a year, which is the average of most Americans.
Yes.
They stay low mileage,
And they stay low mileage.
especially if they're show cars. You're only taking them to the show.
Yeah, you're only taking them to the show. Sometimes you're taking them on a trailer.
Right, right.
And the reason you take them on a trailer is because if you've ever gone down the Pennsylvania Turnpike in a car that had very thin tires, which most of these hypercars, supercars have, and you hit one of those expansion joints at the bridge, well, there goes $600 or more of your Michelin Super Sport Pilot Sport Sebadubadaba tire.
Right.
And it
Not
costs
to mention losing control and smashing into something.
well, that too. But let's hope that you're, you know, paying more attention than that. Although try driving down the turnpike from here to King of Prussia right now. It's a little bit dicey. They got it a little narrow. And those trucks don't seem to understand what 55 means.
No.
Well, they're cracking some eggs, and it's going to be a nice omelet. And in the end, it's going to be a nice road. Because I was just out in California, and it's wide open.
It is. It really
Wide roads, 8 lanes.
Yeah.
So hopefully the turnpike will be
Well,
nice.
that's what they were doing, although they've realized that the bridge at Morgantown is not wide enough to widen the road, so they're going to have to replace the bridge.
Oh, God.
So because the forward thinking said, yeah, hey, maybe we ought to make this bridge wider than just what we need now, because there may be a future and there may be more lanes we want to add. Could be, possibly. Does that make a whole lot of sense? How about?
I like that they're opening up the toll gates, though, that they're
I do
getting
too, but
rid of
they're
them.
taking forever.
Oh,
to
yeah,
do
it takes
that.
a long time.
Well, what do you mean it takes a long time? How do you A,
I mean,
know that, and B, why does it take a long time?
I used to be in construction.
They had a backhoe loader thing, and they could just smash down those things. And
The east wing of the White House went down in a week. Come on.
Exactly. So, other new arrival, the 1986 AM General 6x6 cargo truck.
Right.
This thing is bad to the bone.
I'll say.
OD green and black over olive green, 478 cubic inch turbo diesel, 6-cylinder.
Olive drab.
5-speed manual, 6x6 all-wheel drive.
You're going to need an airplane hangar to store it.
2-speed transfer case. It's apocalypse ready.
It is.
Okay.
It's zombie ready.
Zombie apocalypse.
We got another one too today. That's
we've got
pretty
quite
cool.
a few. Oh, the Pinzgauer. We'll talk about that in the future.
Right.
I remember Car and Driver did a road test on one of those back.
Really?
Every April they'd pick something oddball, like a 747 jet, and do their normal road test, stats, the 0 to 60, all of that. And it was one year it was this. So. Or something similar to this. It was a Pinzgauer. I'm sure I'm butchering that name, but I'm sure all you Pinzgauer aficionados will be reaching out to.
Podcast at classicautomall.com.
There you go. There you go. How about the 1993 Chevrolet Van 20 Rockwood conversion?
Groovy.
Beige metallic and Radisson red metallic.
Sure is.
Over tan and burgundy. 112,000 actual miles. 4.3 liter EFI V6. Well, that ain't a lot of power for a big old heavy van, is it? I guess it actually goes.
4.3, not bad.
Yeah, lots of creature comforts, no question about it. Other new arrival is the 2006 Ford Mustang Saleen S281 Coupe. We were just talking about, Steve.
We were,
in Le Mans. Tungsten gray over black, 2,157 actual miles. Wow. You say 2006? Do the math. 14.
Not much.
19 years.
He probably has 50 cars.
He probably has 50 cars. If you have 50 cars, give us a call.
Yeah,
we
that's
can help you with
podcast at classicautomall.com.
Exactly. So
the tail lights on this car, to me, is one of the best Mustang treatments.
I don't disagree with you at all. I think that's a good-looking car, and from the rear as well as from the front.
That's true.
2 owners, a supercharged 4.6-liter V8, Tremec 5-speed manual, and it's got the 355 track lock axle. That's all you really need. I mean, that's a lot of car.
Show and go.
That's right. Shake and bake. 1985 Chevrolet El Camino SS Choo-Choo Custom.
Oh, it is a Choo-Choo Custom.
Black over burgundy, 305 cubic inch, 4-barrel V8.
That's right.
4-barrel may have been an overkill. 305,
Maybe it gets 170.
Turbo Hydromatic 200 3-speed automatic. It's got the build sheet and the window sticker that comes with it, which is important. Save everything you get with every car you buy. I don't care if it's a mundane Hyundai i4 or whatever it is. Save everything. It's important. All the stickers, all the descriptions, everything that you find, anything that's the written word or any kind of accessory that comes with the car. Don't just throw it in a box and throw it in your attic.
Yeah.
Make sure it's known to go with that car.
Especially if you got a Choo-Choo version, because that was the thing back in the day.
Absolutely.
If you had a Choo-Choo, you were cool. And I'm sure it came with paperwork.
Yeah. And this one's got all the maintenance records as well, too. And then just a well-kept car, or hauler, or mullet. Or
car now.
And it's got the R134A converted air conditioning. So there you have it. So that's some of our new arrivals. If you are interested in seeing these or more, classicautomall.com is our website, and you can go there and see all of our inventory, or any of the other sites on eBay and Hemmings and ClassicCars.com and James Edition and you name it, we're there. So when we return, we'll have our conversation with the publisher of Sports Car Market, Mr. Keith Martin. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes on the Classic Auto Mall Show.
The Classic Auto Mall has more than 1,000 vehicles for consignment in our huge 8-acre climate-controlled showroom. It's a real indoor mall. If you'd like to know all the advantages of buying and selling a car through consignment, the information is available on our website, or you can talk to a classic car specialist who can answer all your questions. It's easy, safe, convenient, and it doesn't matter where you are. We sell worldwide. See our huge selection of classic and collectible vehicles at classicautomall.com.
Welcome back to the show. Joining us for our weekly segment, Keith Martin, publisher of Sports Car Market Magazine. Good morning, afternoon, evening, Keith.
Good evening. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Just enjoying a nice day of weather here in southeast Pennsylvania. And
have you adjusted to daylight savings time?
I don't ever adjust to that. Nothing makes me madder than walking out. First of all, I don't have any windows in my office. So I walk out the door unprepared for it to be pitch black, and it's pitch black, and it's just frustrating. We got to stop that crap. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, what happens here in Portland is that they turn on the rain at the same time daylight saving time comes on. So it becomes cold and wet on the same day.
Gosh, how wonderful. And just the time you want to, I was just going to take my car out for that one last little jaunt around the block. So your blog this week, at what point does safety matter? Wow. That could be a loaded question, right?
It's a question for that most of us at our age, what we like to do is say, well, remember when we grew up, we didn't have seat belts, and my mama put me on the parcel shelf on the back, and guess what? We're still all here, which makes it okay.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not.
No, because we just happen to be the ones that didn't die.
Yeah, we just got lucky. There's lots of them that are.
I have a real, my 65 Alpha Spider has got lap belts in it, 2-inch lap belts. And for a shoulder harness to work properly, it's got to be anchored above the height of your shoulder. And as it can't be down here, because then what happens is it just makes you into a 3-foot tall person if you have a crash.
Right, exactly.
But I wonder each time I get in the car, and the steering arm on that car is a solid piece of metal that goes from the front grille to your chest.
So probably if you were in a front head-on collision, that might end up somewhere you didn't want that steel bar to be.
Well, we call that safety by Lancelot.
And then how do they get it out? I mean, do they have to brace themselves against something to pull it out of your chest?
I just think they put it on Bring a Trailer.
with your body there, maybe in decomposed. I like that.
I think it's a question that we don't. I mean, part of the reason I'm selling the 75 Porsche that I've got, and I'm going to buy a 996 is it's got airbags. Even my Lotus Elise has got 4 airbags.
If you're enjoying driving and it can be safer, I think that's a win-win. I think that as we get older in age, mortality, we think about it more often about not doing crazy crap that we did when we were kids. And driving an older car is risky because the rest of you don't know that I can't brake as fast as you. I can't I can't maneuver as fast as you.
That's right. No, it's the question that we usually don't ask ourselves because the right answer is don't do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because
that's what there was just have you heard about Lee Cross's GT350 tour?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. That's a great event.
What I think the real advantage to that tour is, aside from he's evidently a mastermind at putting it together, but all those cars have similar performance envelopes.
That makes sense.
So if you're with 50 cars that kind of all start and go and stop the same, there's a safety in numbers in that situation.
Absolutely. That makes a whole lot of sense. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, he's a master at putting on events. He gets you into unobtainiumville.
Yeah.
Just, you want to see so-and-so's collection that nobody gets into? Oh, we're going on the trip. We're going there. So, but you're right. I think that has a lot to do with it. All like-minded cars and similar performing cars, everybody knows how far to stay away from each other because you know what the braking is, you know what the acceleration, the maneuverability, that kind of thing.
That's right. I mean, part of the problem with the Mille Miglia or the SCM 1000 or California Mille, even there, is you can get a wide disparity of performance envelopes from V12 Ferraris down to early Porsches. And there's always somebody who can't seem to control themselves on those events.
Right. There's always that guy or that person that's like that. And it's a shame because, part of the joy of a tour like that, in my mind, is not only for the participants, but it's for people that are just standing, happen to just catch them going by. And if they all kind of go by within a couple of 3 or 4 minutes period, that's wonderful. But if one goes by and then it's 20 minutes later, then the next one goes by, you kind of lose a little interest there, I would imagine.
Right.
But the physical injury side of it is not only can you damage your car in an accident in an old car, but you can get really hurt way worse than you could in a modern car with airbags and anti-lock brakes and so on.
But did you see that post on social media recently where one of the American pickers was in a crash in his Porsche 356?
Yeah, how terrible. I mean,
and that front of that car was just wiped off.
Yeah. And you can get thrown from the car as well, too, especially in something like that, especially with the seat. We were talking to one of the drag racers. I can't remember if it was Ron Capps or Don Perdome that we had on the show, and they have 13-point harnesses now. And you think, well, that's overkill. But I mean, a 5-point harness, we used to always we would never buckle it all the way up. You'd put the lap one on and maybe, and you should, because why not take the time to put a seatbelt on? It doesn't cost you any time at all. And if you get in an accident, statistics prove that you're better off with a seatbelt.
Well, a friend of mine had an Alpha GTA, and he went out one time and said, "I'm not going to put those damned arm restraints on. They just fuck it up when I'm trying to drive." That was just before he rolled his car and had the top of his arm cut off.
Yeah.
From his arm flailing out the window.
I had a friend of mine who had a private plane, and we were flying somewhere, and we were coming into some rough weather, and the pilot turned around and said, "Hey, you guys want to put your seatbelt on?" And my buddy who owned the plane said, "Good Lord." He said, "What's a seatbelt going to save you if you crash into the side of a mountain?" About that time, we hit a drop pocket of about 1,000 feet, and he hit his head on the little air vent, and it sliced him open in an L shape on the top of his head, and blood everywhere. And we're in a terrific storm with a guy bleeding and cocktails running up and down the aisle, and we're just, it's always better to have your seatbelt on no matter what the scenario.
Well, I think, and we don't want to go too dark here, but I think where it really comes to play is putting your kids in the cars with you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not thinking that through.
Like, I kept my kids in baby seats forever.
Sure. Dad, I'm 15.
I know. But that's really where I'm at this stage in my life. I'm prepared to take responsibility for my stupidity.
Yeah, exactly. And only on me. I don't want to subject anybody else to it. You see that happen all the time, and you see people that are, driving kind of out of control or too fast for a situation, and nobody's buckled in, and everybody's having a good time until they're not, And like you said, let's don't get too morbid on it. But so you're selling the 912.
I've got a 75 911S Sportomatic.
Oh, that's right, the Sportomatic.
And I'm going to sell it because it's got no power steering, no power brakes, no AC. It's a great car. It's really a wonderful car, but it's a lot of work.
Sure.
And my 91 Alpha Spider has got an airbag and power steering and power brakes, and I'd rather sacrifice for the comfort.
I hear you.
And give up a little bit of the wire trigger feeling and the responsiveness, because the 2.7 is a great car. That car weighs the same as a Carrera RS.
Wow.
2,500 pounds.
And you don't need a whole lot of power to make that go fun.
No, you don't. Well, also because you have no traction at the rear. You don't need a lot of speed for the rear end to come around in front of you either.
Which is always exciting.
Yeah, it's like, which window are we looking through?
I wish. Yeah, that's maybe why the back windows were so. I wish that we had better driver education in this country, where kids could go and learn how to control a car in a skid, and learn what the difference is between a car with and without anti-lock brakes, and how to drive a manual transmission, and so on and so forth. It would be wonderful if everybody had those life lessons given to them.
Well, I know that my son, when he turned 16, he got a discount on his insurance because we sent him to skid school.
Right. Yeah. How cool is that? That should be universal. That should be just automatic. You get that, you get a discount on your insurance. You pass a driving test. And people incorrectly will say, "Well, you're teaching them to drive fast." No, you're teaching them how to control an automobile. And they're going to drive fast. I don't care. I don't know any 16-year-old that got in and was, holding their arm out the window, doing the turn signal thing.
There's a reason the statistics are what they are for young drivers.
Absolutely. Without question there is. So, we're not trying to be negative Nancy's here. We're just saying, be careful. Why not? What does it hurt to be careful?
And if you've got seatbelts in your car, put them on.
Put them on. Why not? And put them on.
When I read about some of these accident reports, and they say, and the 4 people weren't wearing seatbelts.
Yeah. It's all 4 people not wearing. Oh, I'm in the back seat. It won't matter. It will matter. Yeah, right. And so it's important to do that and be safe, and you can still have fun and be safe. It's not like we're asking you to get a horse and buggy.
Yeah. Well, that could be fun.
That would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? So anyway. So glad to have you on every week and to talk about your blog, and we'll certainly have you again next week, and a new subject that will remain unknown until that next week comes.
Well, maybe we'll be talking about a new Porsche if I can find one.
Let's hope so. I hope so. And we want to hear a report on how you do on Bring a Trailer with selling the other one. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
We'll be cool.
Those prices have been going up on Sportomatics because there are few of them. And there are more of us who need something like that.
Yeah. It's not a want, it's a need, and that's a whole different animal, right?
Exactly right.
We'll be back next week with the Classic Auto Mall Show. We'll see you then.
Here's a special offer from Sports Car Market Magazine. Get a 6-month subscription for just $19.95 by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive and the number 6. That's sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. If you're a buyer, a seller, or just general classic car enthusiast, publisher Keith Martin says,
We've been around almost 40 years. It's the Wall Street Journal of the collector car world.
activate your 6-month trial of Sports Car Market Magazine by going to sportscarmarket.com/test drive 6. Offers for a limited time. Be in the know with Sports Car Market. The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Howden, executive producer, Steve Seth here, produced and engineered by yours truly, J.R. Russ, video editor, Randy Lammy.
Available on ClassicAutomall.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Music courtesy of the Pat Travers Band. For tour dates, contact, and stuff, visit PatTravers.com. Produced by Car Smarts Media. Copyright all rights reserved.